So, May, welcome to Breakfast with Bobsy. It's a pleasure having you on
Pleasure to be here,
glorious Hong Kong weather at its best.
And the summer solstice at that, or spring solstice.
Spring equinox.
Oh, what?
Don't worry, it's just live, so no worries. The spring equinox and World Water Day. Today, March the 22nd, is World Water Day and the spring equinox. And I have a beautiful sister here, May, that I've known for many, many years. I know you as a Yogini, as a community mover and shaker, as a soul sister, as a change maker. You were one of the earliest yoga teachers at Pure Yoga, going way back to 2002. Now let's talk about that. Also, you're the founder of Soul Trains. You've been pioneering, moving, developing, growing yoga on many levels. And in recent years, the founder of the Garden Gathering, which is something stunning, and our viewers obviously may know about it, and if they don't, they should. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Take a sip of coffee.
All right.
This is a new signature Oatly cocoa. I think you're having an Oatly cocoa. Good stuff, huh?
Such good stuff.
So, May, where do we begin? Let's begin with the early days of Pure Yoga. Just to start there, because we all love yoga.
That's right, yeah.
And what brought you to Hong Kong?
Well, I was living in California and I was quite happy there. The yoga scene was really blooming, and I felt like exploring, especially I felt like just experiencing my roots a little bit within Asia, and I ended up in Hong Kong teaching yoga at Pure.
How did that happen?
I mean, I got the email saying that yoga school was grand opening. They were going to pay for my ticket, my room and board, and food, and that was unheard of.
Who contacted you?
Colin Grant.
Wow. Okay. So how did you know Colin?
I didn't. They were just opening, and they were seeking teachers, founding teachers.
And they found you.
That's right.
Out of all the teachers in the world.
Yeah. I just remember Pure Yoga. In the early days, I mean, no one was really practicing yoga, but there was a lot of hype around it. Jackie Chan was practicing yoga. Madonna was practicing yoga. So there was all this hype, like, what is this that has landed in Hong Kong? And, the classes would be filled with like 60 to 80 people.
And or women?
No, men and women alike.
Really? I must have missed those classes.
With bringing their Louis Vuitton bags and cell phones in class, because there was no understanding of etiquette, of mindfulness. It was really just, this curiosity that was being born into the city. And sometimes you'd have yoga classes with like 60 to 80 people within the classes, and no one had ever practiced before. So when I think about that and find myself still here in Hong Kong today, and just how the community of wellness has this insane inward, upward, and outward expanding consciousness. It's just a really, really blessed time to be here. Yeah, and I'm sure you can relate as well with all of your vision evolving too.
Yeah. So you've known Patrick since 2002?
Yes, he's my oldest friend, apart from you.
Wow.
That's right. I remember first meeting you, and
Where was that?
well, my impression of Hong Kong at the time, I mean, I just remember there being like 99% men in suits, and then me in my flip-flops and yoga pants,
Your saris. and
wondering how I arrived, and then I remember being at a yoga conference, and there you were with your red mane, banging on a djembe.
That was the first time,
Yeah,
was it?
yeah,
Oh,
that was
sweet.
my first time.
And you're like,
seeing you.
yes, the soul brother.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I thought.
So was that at AYC?
That was at AYC. That's right.
Nice. There were fun days, weren't there?
That was
There
very
was still a
fun
buzz
days.
around, yoga. It wasn't mainstream back then. It was booming. It was popular. There's no doubt about it. But it had a bit of an edge to it. It's like, wow, you're a yoga teacher.
I don't know if I can necessarily agree. I feel like, in the same sense, I can't keep up with the buzz because it's constantly
Now?
evolving.
Oh no, yeah.
Constantly
I'm talking about
creative.
2003, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6.
But there's always something, a new expression on it. There's always a new perspective and understanding how one might be charged with the teachings, and then, given their own spirit and spin on it, then blooms something else, and it's just this constant
Evolution.
It's been exciting.
It's fluid. It's like life, right?
Yeah.
It's, Satish Kumar is in town right now, and
Yes.
we both met him yesterday, I think, right?
Yes.
Now,
I got
yeah,
my
Earth Pilgrim.
autograph copy.
I've been reading his book, No Destination. But talking about legends, I mean, here's a man who inspired the people who inspired me.
Yeah.
So at that, I mean, he's 82, I think, 82 years young, legend, just to be in his presence, and he's as sharp as a bell,
Yeah.
clear-headed. Normally when you're around people in their 80s, you're a bit, gentle, a bit soft, a bit cautious, but with him, it's like, whoa, okay,
Yeah.
He can meet you at every level and beyond, and physically he's agile and able, and it just goes to show you that living the life of a yogi goes a long way. It's not just about practice on the mat and standing on your head. It's the spirit, it's
That's
the
right.
essence, it's the consciousness of yoga, and he carries the flag. And he's in Hong Kong now giving a workshop at the Kaduri with Andrew, and I wish I could attend. It's this weekend.
Well, we had the pleasure of sitting with Satish Kumar in a private Chadao tea ceremony,
Yesterday.
and it was right after we had a tour of the tea farms at Kidori Farm.
Nice.
And then we had a chance to learn about the harvest. They harvest every 10 to 12 days from their tea plants. And we sat with Satish, and it was so profound because our visiting guest Tea Chajin from the Global Tea Hut in Taiwan is here. So we have this young man, maybe early 20s, that has found his Tao so early on in age and is serving fully to the lineage of Global Tea Hut and tea. And then here we have Satish, who has walked 20,000 miles in the name of
Peace.
agricultural reform, in the name of Gandhi, in the name of peace. And I was sitting in the middle of this, as we do, we find ourselves caught in the line of fire where, those moments that will change us forever. And after that tea ceremony, Satish, he had a tear in his eye, and he told us a story about how during his 20,000 walk pilgrimage, a woman from Georgia gave him 4 bags of tea. and she said, "This is peace tea.
Ooh.
And if you could be so kind, deliver these bags of tea to all the nuclear capitals that he was going to visit. Moscow, Paris." She gave him 4 bags.
London, New York.
London, New York. On the 4th bag, Paris, he delivered them. London, New York, Moscow. When he came to Paris, in effort to deliver it, he got thrown in jail. And his message was, he spent 3 days in jail, and his message was, if we could reach that person that is responsible for pressing that button to start nuclear war, if we could just pause for a moment and sit and pour him a cup of tea, maybe we would reconsider the fate of the world.
I'm getting goosebumps.
But this is the point. This is the point. We are efforting, we are firing away at our psyche. It's beautiful to accumulate ideas and evolution and creativity, but like, if we can just pause more, we are way beyond, past the point of all those incredible opportunities of pausing, in the miraculous mastery of our design, humanity's design. I said I always cry, and I always said I wasn't gonna cry. But yeah, so I thought that was really
Beautiful.
special.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, he carries a lot of wisdom with him, and everything he's been writing about, talking about, teaching about, has come true.
That reminds
that's
me
the
of
beauty
you.
about this movement.
That reminds me of you.
Thank you.
When I first met you, you had
yeah.
these journals and with your little colored pencils and all these beautiful visions of, and 10,000 trees planted later.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
And Babylon, Hong Kong is your Babylon, is your conscious collective, the whole city, while you were looking for locations. All the while, it was the entire field of this island.
Yeah. We haven't stopped. We're still looking for locations right now.
It's here. It's everywhere. It's here.
Yeah.
It's nature, in and out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, people laugh at the hippies, but man, they got it right. They got it right. Down to the H and the IPPY, hip and hippie, hip and happy, and amazing. And this surprises me that there's still so many naysayers out there and cynics and who still but everything and if everything. Take a look at what some people have been saying for 40, 50 years. Have they wavered in their belief, in their innate wisdom, in their trust that human consciousness will put us through all of this? And they but and they if and but hey, that's an old hat now. We know how it goes, and all that matters is that we are change makers and we are inspiring change, and it's happening. And here we are, talking to a change maker. So that was.
I just can't take credit though. It's because it's not. It's like, if anything, part of my daily meditation is how do I move myself out of the way.
Yeah.
So like in any of these merits, those are all.
Let me shed some light on that. I think we must take credit and say thank you, and then let it go, not get attached to it. But in the same breath, we have to give credit to our teachers, to the people who inspired us. That's why I say Satish Kumar is one generation above the people who've inspired me.
Yeah.
So he's inspired the people who've inspired me. And yes, I think if somebody says you're beautiful, take it wholeheartedly and say thank you. And then you give credit to Mother Nature, your parents, God. And the same when people give me credit for being part of this conscious movement in Hong Kong, thank you. But then give credit to the sifus, the teachers who came before us.
Absolutely.
The giants on whose shoulders we stood.
Yes.
And we find that a bit lacking in Hong Kong. Everybody wants to take credit without acknowledging those who came before, But that's called wisdom, and you can't earn wisdom overnight. You have to gain your knowledge first. And before you gain your knowledge, you have to get your experience.
Yes.
And before you get your experience, you have to be following your passion.
That's so
You know
true.
how it goes.
It's so true.
The journey. Yeah. So we discussed, I'm glad you brought up those early days with Pure Yoga.
Yeah. It's just,
And then so
wow.
much has happened since. You've been in Hong Kong for what, 17 years?
So I arrived in 2000, like the end of 2001, and then left and was living in South America, living in Buenos Aires for 3 years, and in London,
Bali.
Barcelona, and then moved back to Indonesia, Bali, where Patrick came to visit me once with his best friend, Jason, who is your brother, soul brother. And what can I say? We fell in love, and yeah, just when I had given up on finding my soulmate and becoming a mother, I met Jason, and yeah, it's just been yes all the way. And now Felix, my girl, she's now 6.5. So motherhood, you know, with all those merits, I say, you know, motherhood is something that I'll never be afraid of, you know, being grateful for.
And Jason was just here moments ago,
Yeah.
having breakfast with me.
Yeah.
Coffee with me, and here we are now with you. And
Yeah.
and then a lot's happened since.
Yes.
Tell me about Soul Trains. You know, a rich expression of who you are and what you do.
Soul Trains came about as a gesture of needing a mediator, something where I could be uninhibited and have total freedom without putting the limitations of my name on there, taking myself out of it again. And the yoga classes that I teach, I call them Flow for Freedom. And therefore, you know, historically, people that have never done yoga, 10 times out of 10, their concern is that they're not flexible enough. And the point is we can do all these anatomical, physical shapes with all these, you know, alignment cues and breath cues, but at the end of the day, the flexibility that we're trying to achieve is the flexibility of the spirit, the mind. And that's not even to change, you know, in hopes to change our body. It's really to just return to our innate, blissful, free state, universal state. So Soul Trains, it just evolved. I don't know where it goes. I literally surrender to the fact that I'm being guided, and things work out. And, you know, even when I fall, we must welcome that as an opportunity to exercise how we're going to get up. So yeah, Soul Trains became about cultivating wellness in the outdoors. I started hosting outdoor yoga classes because I was just annoyed at the rent. I was like, what's the point? It's just, there's so much red tape, and it didn't make sense to share the gift of yoga. And as an independent yoga teacher.
Where did you hold your first outdoor class?
So I was holding them in my backyard, which is Cyberport. It's a beautiful dog park on the waterfront.
Yeah.
And, you know, I also, it just, you know, I overhear people, the languaging, the programmed discussion on Hong Kong is, oh, it's a concrete jungle, or oh, you know, it's like I'm in aircon all day. I'm like, well, you know, the point is it literally there's free space.
Yeah.
We can choose to practice yoga outside if we want to connect with nature, you know, and feel the nature within and
She's all around us.
and out, and then it's free.
Yeah.
So with that, it evolved into Yoga Pop, which is stands for Yoga People of the Public. So it's every Sunday. It's in its 4th year now, and basically on Sundays we give the domestic helpers a chance to practice yoga, and a chance for them to feel whole, feel untethered. They spend their days like
Humans,
serving.
to feel human.
And I'm Filipina.
Yeah.
I'm actually an island girl, a funny little island person. And, I see these domestic helpers as my sisters. And, I was born in America, so it was like just a small gesture for me to, owe something back to my heritage, my roots.
And how popular is it with the domestic helpers?
Well, like the women that are a solid part of it, because I don't advertise, it's really word of mouth. They're devout. They are truly devout yogis, and they come with full presence, full spirit. And again, we're 4 years in, so they drop in efficiently as soon as we start class. Actually, we were just here on Sunday to celebrate the 6th year anniversary of Mana. So we set up in the back with tea ceremony and yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I saw the photos and a video, and beautiful. Good. So that's Cell Trains, and it's an ongoing.
It's ongoing.
Spontaneous, flexible growth of mind, body, spirit.
Yeah. Just you live here long enough, and you get to meet a person or two, and the more amazing people you meet that don't know each other, I just felt like, okay, like how do we get? It's kind of like playing Cupid. And all of that led to Iris, to finding Gianni Melwani, founder of Iris Your Escape, the large outdoor.
2 weeks ago we had Iris, right?
Yeah.
You had a smaller role this year, right?
I stepped back, so I'm not.
Because you convinced so many people to join Iris. You convinced so many yoga teachers and movers and shakers.
Didn't take any convincing. No, not at all.
Remember that WhatsApp group we had that was as long as my leg, and I think you put Iris on the map.
No, it's definitely not me.
Well, you had obviously it's a group effort, but
anyone could have
wished
to do that.
Is you convinced me to offer there, and you convinced many other people in the community as well to come, and because of your passion and your integrity, and you were so passionate about getting the tribe together, and you did it very successfully.
I think.
But anyway, Iris is great. We just finished Iris 2 weeks ago, and Mana was there, and we had our first presence in Iris as Mana, and it was wonderful. We had a lovely time. And just to see how far yoga's come, you go to Iris and you see, how many people are practicing, and teachers, and the offerings, and
it's really amazing.
So it's amazing.
I think I'm more interested in the energy flow, so we can align ourselves in a direction, and just like the chakra system, these spinning wheels of energy, we can, the more we interface and exercise with, different, gestures with the community, the living, breathing culture that we have here. It's interesting, like we spin these wheels, and then they just literally they take off with a consciousness of their own. Like my partner in the garden gathering, Rasham, and I, we started it out together from being inspired by spirit weavers, this beautiful community on the West Coast in America, and we wish to have that kind of community here. Rather than saying that we have a lack of, and we wish we could go to California, we were like, why don't we just unveil the beautiful divine feminine that is already here? Why don't we just draw a circle around it and have everyone meet in the middle? And all these beautiful women from all walks of life, all tribes, came out of nowhere, and they literally just took the idea and developed a consciousness of their own. So then Risham and I literally, we just stepped back, and now we're just watching this thing that just is breathing and growing and cultivating on its own. Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And this is called the garden gathering. And you've had 3 so far?
We've had 3, yeah.
And the fourth one in the making?
The fourth one is in our conscience. That's
It's
right.
in the potential.
That's right.
In the potential. But these garden gatherings, were only open to women
And children.
and children, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Although rumor has it that a couple of men, we snuck behind the bushes, but these are just rumors.
There were
There's a
some secret. There
videotape
were
somewhere.
some secret men. There were.
There was some men disguised, and yeah, but it's revolutionary. This gathering that you've created. It's not just another yoga weekend that happened, or another food fair, or another festival. This is something deeply rooted, anchoring the consciousness of the feminine in our city. That is a highly masculine city. And by masculine, I just don't mean man-woman. I mean the masculine energy. The buildings here in Hong Kong are very phallic, and so that symbolizes something: aggression, competition, commerce, business. These are all norms in the city. The way we design our streets, a lack of pedestrianization, a lack of community, all these things that we don't really have in Hong Kong but are having now are very masculine. So to anchor something like the garden gathering into our city, the ripples are wide, and the ripples are continuing to ripple. So I have full admiration for that, and I want to talk about that a little bit more, because this season with Breakfast with Bobsy, the overarching theme is the essence of the feminine.
Yeah.
And here we have a beautiful woman, inside and out, a sister, a soul sister, who founded a garden gathering. And I'm not sure how much people know about it, because it's not, it's not out there in the media and what have you. But it was a beautiful gathering of women and children. And I've just expressed what I feel about the anchoring of that feminine consciousness. So share a little bit about that spirit with us, please.
It might seem revolutionary. It might. If anything, we can also say that we have been here. It's no surprise. We've been here, we have met here, we have gathered, we've shared a million lifetimes, dimensions, over and over and over again.
Right.
So merely in the face of these, linear understanding, sometimes we get trapped, we think we're trapped in this whole linear way of, consciousness, but like our spirit knows different. We're in this like spiraling, upward, like vertical, like transcending. We know this. And the whole gathering is really, it's what our soul kind of has been craving. So any sister that ended up at the gathering, kid you not, like every single woman, it was almost like every single one of us, it was a wish that had been granted. And it was just so simple. But why could we all wish for the same thing? It's just because it's in our nature. As old as tribes have been, women would gather in red tents. Before women would, on their moon cycle, and when it was just known that we honored our cycles with nature. We would go and we would offer up our blood to the earth. And while that would happen, that's when, we would trade secrets, trade wisdom, catch up, and the village gossip and exchange recipes.
But then the men would come and listen and gain wisdom from that moon gathering, right?
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful. Yeah. The wisdom of a woman on her moon cycle.
Yeah.
To be coming into circle, into gathering and sharing and feeling and expressing and not worrying about all these externalities, and then offering your blood, life force, back to Mother, the Earth, you know?
Yeah.
This wisdom that we've lost, and now we're regaining through this awakening, right? And the hallmark of this awakening is the essence of the feminine. Is we're seeing the energy of the feminine coming back into every walk of life. And that's why I so highly admire the garden gathering.
I feel compelled, Bobsy, to add that, whilst from an outsider perspective, let alone male perspective, it might, it isn't, part of it might seem glamorized and contrived. And like, how is it that in the blink of an eye we can enter in the garden gathering and suddenly it's world peace and we've all like dissolved our definitions and egos? The truth is the garden gathering happens, and hardships and stresses and like the same resistances that happen on the outside still happen on the inside. It doesn't change. Yeah, it's just important to honor. I am more interested these days in the darker side, and that made me realize that actually I've found my light much more because of it. Now, me being very interested in the ebbs, the thrusts of life, the waves,
not just the highs,
the wavelengths
but the
in life that
lows.
make you go, down to the ground. Like, I'm interested in that, maybe not by choice. It's just been like the world is resisting right now. It is combustible. Like, it's either going down, which is why we are going up. Like, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let me just remind you that the gathering too, it's also beautiful because it becomes this microcosm of what can happen in one lifetime, and it's death, that's life, that's anger, that is celebration, that is contemplation, that is marriage, divorce, it's all of these things.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's everything. And that's what makes it beautiful and divine.
Yes.
That the female can find a place in this place, feel safe enough to be Kali and to be
Shanti.
Lotus Shanti.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an exercise like clay. We have
Like
to.
the ocean.
We have to keep working at the clay, right? But it's a work in progress.
I spontaneously started singing earlier, Leonard Cohen. There's a crack in everything.
Yeah.
That everything is the dark, and that's how the light comes in.
Yeah.
That beautiful song, and ring the bells, a silken ring.
Yeah.
Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything.
Yeah.
And that's how the light comes in. Another great brother, Leonard Cohen, who's inspired me endlessly, whom we lost in the famous 2016 cleansing that we had on planet Earth, that annus horribilis, as the Queen would say. And the loss, and the dark side and the downs, that's how we gain knowledge.
That's right.
Which eventually becomes wisdom, It's
That's
not
right.
just about how high we can get and how good we can
100%.
look and how rich we can get, and that's the beauty of yoga again. That's when in kirtan, the chanting, when you get so ecstatic that you couldn't get any higher, they stop the kirtan.
Yeah.
And we go, what the fuck? What? Why have you stopped the kirtan? And the yogi goes, too much pleasure, too much joy has a flip side to it. So you must stop the good and the bad. Everything has its time, everything has its cycle. And that lesson for, because we were getting so high in the kid, I've never felt so high.
Yeah.
Forget spliffing, this is a natural high. And we're ecstatic and we're dancing, and then bam!
Spliffing.
And then it's like, bam! And we're like, what's the logic? What, No. That's it.
So that's the point. Like, talk about kirtan, like devotional yoga. Like, part of me is just honoring like the process of life in general, because the wisdom that I have today, looking at my life, I'm like, there's no way I would have known these things 10
No.
years ago, 5 years ago, you know, but when you reach our age, I don't know how young you are, but you know, that we start to look in the mirror and speak to look in the internal mirror, and we wonder what kind of ancestor do I want to be? Not what do I want to be when I grow up. It's like, what kind of ancestor do I want to be?
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it now,
Yeah.
right? And
But the clock is ticking, and then when you get to our age, you realize that there is so much to do, so much that we can do, so much that we must do, so much that we have to do. But our body is aging. Our mind stays young, our heart stays young, but the body ages. And then you suddenly realize that every day matters. The old cliche, you know? But it does.
I know.
It does, because the years go by quick. I know when you're a teenager with pimples and you're stuck in school and you've got your exams, time's going slow. But when you're enjoying life and you're making things happen, and you're hanging out with the coolest cats, and you're vibing the vibes, and you're part of the tribe, and you're a change maker, and your life is your vocation, and your vocation is your life, time goes by quick.
But I think what catapults us into these very, heartful ways of being is becoming parents. You can agree that
absolutely.
you become the provider, the nurturer of this precious being, and it's like that's when the veil really lifted for me. That's when.
Yeah. And it's the same on a wider scale beyond our children and our families. You'll see, the millennials coming through now, the younger generation, who are just taking that baton from your hand and wanting to run with it. And the baton's in good hands. Because they get it. You don't have to sit there convincing them that the planet is dying and that there's plastic in the oceans and they have to stop eating animals, and they get it. And it's like, thank God for that. I don't have to sit here explaining 30 minutes why I do what I do. You get it? We get it. Thank you, we get it. Let's go, let's move. And you don't know what a relief that is for me, personally speaking. To not have to explain. I still have to explain 100 times a day what I do and why I do, but when you're meeting like-minded souls, you don't have to explain anything. It's like, thank you. It's just a beautiful feeling. And now with Mana and what we do, and having been at it for so long consistently, and people are calling us survivors now, to see the rewards of that.
It's exciting.
To see this younger generation of Hong Kong people.
They're so sweet. I love them.
Changing.
I love your team.
Beautifully. Yeah.
They're so darling.
And talking of change, here's World Water Day. Today, March 22nd, and at Mana, of course, our first principle is free water for all. Number one. So every day we offer free water. We don't sell water on principle. But today we're doing a big event to raise awareness in front of Mana on Wellington Street about conserving water and what we can do and how we can save water and the importance of water. And my question to you is, why isn't today a public holiday? Why isn't World Water Day a public holiday? Can we live without water? Can Hong Kong live without water? No. Why are we not celebrating World Water Day? What is wrong with our essence? What is wrong with our internal wisdom? What is wrong with humanity that we can celebrate Christmas and Easter and Chinese New Year and Western New Year? Fine. But why on earth aren't we not celebrating Earth Day? Can we live without Mother Earth? No. So there's something not quite right. And this explains why we live in polluted environments, why there's plastic in our oceans, why there's no more fish left in our oceans, why there's hardly any old growth trees, why there isn't a speck of water that's not polluted, because we're not celebrating Earth Day. You're not celebrating and honoring your mother. So in the very near future, today, March 22nd, will be a public holiday, and April 22nd will also be a public holiday for Earth Day. And we'll make that happen. We have to make that happen. And young generation, they get it. They're like, yeah, let's celebrate Mother Earth. Forget about Christmas. Mother Earth, you know?
Yes.
What can I say? On that note, May, it's been a pleasure having you for breakfast. And just, we can talk all day.
Yes, we can.
But short is sweet and less is more, as they say.
Much
So,
respect. Much respect to you,
Respect
Bobsy.
to you, and I honor your presence. And yes, same tribe. Welcome.